Hey, welcome back to Strange Radios. My name is Jeremy. Man, this has been a tough week. Uh, yeah, so just going to do another CD update here. Like I said last time, still working through the CDs I got over the holidays. I'm going to do the second part of it. There's still one more part of these CDs to come up. But yeah, it's taking a little while to get through them all. And let's just get right into it. Roky Erickson with Ockerville River. True Love Cast Out All Evil. Roky Erickson, lead singer guitarist for 13th Floor Elevators. I'm familiar with his older material, his older solo albums, and I've been meaning to get those, but I've never found them, never come across them. And I just happened across this in a used record store. So I picked it up. It's a little more folksy than I was anticipating, but I don't mind it. It's actually pretty good. The lyrics on here, sometimes it can get kind of dumb, but I feel like Roky's performance, Roky's delivery of it, it works. It's okay. These next two, so in the I was born 1988, so in the early 2000s I was just right target audience for nu metal. And there's two bands here that I never really got into, and they're both kind of nu metal. First is Coal Chamber, next is God Forbid. So I never really got into these bands in their heyday, and I found these just a couple bucks each, and I figured I'll give them a listen. Why not? This God Forbid album, not bad. Not bad. I absolutely would have been into this back in the day, but nowadays, kind of out of style, but it's still not a bad record. This is 4, Constitution of Treason. Yeah, I remember listening to a song or two of them, but I never, like I said, I never got into them. Same with Coal Chamber. I listened to a song or two, but I never really did get into them. But I listened to this song, Dark Days. This was their last album before they broke up, and it sounds like it. This thing is absolute garbage. Yeah, it sounds like they were on their last legs. Musically, it just sounds like they're recycling riffs by Mudvayne and Korn. Like there's nothing original musically here. And lyrically, this thing is dumb beyond belief. Like this is really stupid music. And yeah, Dez obviously went on to form Devil Driver afterwards. And I do own a Devil Driver CD. But after listening to this, I'm going to go listen to that Devil Driver album again and see if I want to keep it even, because this is garbage. Absolute garbage. That's what happens sometimes. Next, Metallica Master of Puppets Remastered. I know what you're saying. Jeremy, why are you only now getting around to getting Master of Puppets? To which I say, shut up. And also, this. My first 5 Metallica albums on CD, all of which have issues. Not scratches on the disc, but the disc itself is disintegrating. And so when Metallica started reissuing their albums, that was brilliant because now I can replace those damaged copies. And so that's what this is. It's just a replacement, because on my original copy of Master of Puppets, I think the last 3 tracks at least didn't work. So I'm glad to have this. Truthfully, the 2 bonus discs aren't really that great, honestly. Although the demos are kind of interesting. There's some interesting moments on the demos that you get to see what changes have been made. The one that interested me the most was Welcome Home Sanitarium, because that changed a lot before it got into its final stages. Up next is a band I don't know, and I probably can't pronounce either. I would pronounce this as Tanzwut, Tanzwut, with their album Esselmess. I don't know. German, clearly. medieval band. I picked this up just random blind buy because I like the cover. But yeah, modern. I guess you'd call them rock-ish, but they, as you can see here, they play medieval instruments, and that's sort of what they do is an old-timey folk medieval type thing with bagpipes and hurdy-gurdies and lyres and lutes and whatnot. And I put this on. I was walking to work one day, and this is this is the best way I can describe it. I was walking to work and I had this on my iPod, and I was listening to it, and it was winter, and the snow was blowing over, but it was bright sunny, and this album fit that scenario quite well. Yeah, just a nice, bright, sunny winter's day. That was a perfect soundtrack. Also picked up this Art Chorale, just a CD of Gregorian chant, because I didn't have any Gregorian chant. And, it is what it is. Keeping with the classical theme, if you want to call it that, The World of the Violin, just a compilation of various violin pieces. A number of composers on here I hadn't heard of before, which is why I picked this up. And I didn't even know Prince Albert from England was the composer. That was pretty cool to learn. But this also has Paganini's Devil's Laughter, and I don't have that yet. That's a great piece. I would recommend checking that out if you're into the violin at all. Moving on, a couple I'll Love It CDs. I Love Everybody and The Road to Ensenada. For the longest time, I only knew of Lyle Lovett as a punchline to two jokes. And about last year, I guess, I came across an article online that listed a bunch of underrated country murder ballads. And there was a song by Lyle Lovett on there called L.A. County, and I listened to it, and it was great. I loved it. It was great songwriting. And so I went and bought that album that it was on, and then I came across these two, and I picked them up as well. And his early albums, like this one, I Love Everybody, although these are only 2 years apart, so. But his earlier ones have a cleanliness to them, like they're very sterile in terms of production. There's no grit to these albums at all. Everything's clean, everything's pristine, everything's well recorded, and I don't mind that. Some people, I realize, though, their country music, if it doesn't have any grit to it, they don't like it. Truthfully, it doesn't have a lot of grit, but the songwriting's really good. And like I said, it's only 2 years later, this one, and yet it's got grit there now. There's a bit of grit on this one, and I'm really not familiar with his stuff after this, so I'm hoping maybe it gets grittier. That would be an interesting direction. Speaking of interesting directions, let's take one. DMX, It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Just a nostalgia thing. I don't own any DMX, and so I thought I'd remedy that. Because DMX, man, back in the day, this dude was awesome. He was everywhere. My brothers had his albums. His songs were all over the TV and the radio. Dude was huge. And I just bought it to remind myself of those times. And the last one I'm going to cover today is Spoon. Ga 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 ga, or ga 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 ga. I've heard of this band, but I've never listened to them. They didn't seem like something I'd be into. And the only reason I bought this was because this album specifically is mentioned by Gord Downie on his last album, Introduce Yourself. Gord mentions this album specifically that he and one of his children listened to it quite a bit. So when I saw it in a used record store, I was like, cool, I'll buy it. So I bought it, and I listened to it, and it's just indie rock that really doesn't interest me that much. But something interesting happened was, when I was changing CDs in the car, I dropped this in my lap, and the way it was sitting, I noticed, I don't know if you can see in there, but in the back of this, I guess, kind of digipack, the cardboard backing here, there's a slit, and there's a disc, there's a CD in there, and that piqued my interest. So I dug it out, and saw this, Get Nice, bonus disc, and this thing looks like it's never been played ever. Like, it's pristine. And when I got home, I looked up that the first pressing of this album had a limited run that included a bonus disc. And so I'm wondering if the person who had this originally and gave it up to the used CD store where I got it just never noticed that, because like, it looks like it's never been touched. So that's kind of funny. And what's even better is I listened to the bonus disc, and it's even better than the regular album, in my opinion. There's a lot of experimentation going on here. It's not just an indie rock. They're going in weird directions. They've got weird little sort of noise or ambient pieces and other pastiche things. And they're taking the songs in weird directions and remixes. And it's just a really interesting little bonus disc that I actually find myself listening to more than the regular album. So that's cool. Yeah, and that's all for this video. Again, I'm trying to keep these real quick. Trying not to ramble on like an idiot. I haven't said. I still have one more video's worth of CDs from albums I bought over the holidays. Man, we're coming on a few weeks now. That's been. And then I also got in an order from Discogs the other day, and I'll have to go through that as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. Any comments on these albums you'd like to leave below, let me know. And I guess that's about it. This has been Strange Radios. Stranger, adios.